Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of Regional Prime Time, a monthly series Reputation Today is organizing along with Fusion PR, a one-stop solution for all communication needs of brands across regional India. This edition of Regional Prime Time will focus on the spirit of celebration in the new normal and will discuss how brands who have traditionally celebrated the festive season with much fervor will navigate through this peculiar situation. A warm welcome to all our panelists, the 90 plus participants who have registered for this, and the 100 plus invitees from PR Club who have logged in using Zoom. This session is also being live streamed on YouTube at bit.ly Reputation Today on YT. So if you're facing any issues connecting via Zoom, you may always switch to YouTube and continue attending from there, but without the option of asking questions, of course. For those who are attending via Zoom, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A box, and the moderator will try to pick as many as he can during the session. Please avoid using the chat box for this. Before I introduce the panelists, let me remind you that the hashtag for the session is RTPrimetime. Please tweet using the hashtag RTPrimetime, and don't forget to tag our partner at PR Fusion along with Rep Today Mag. I would now like to welcome our panelists. C. Lekha, Director of Corporate Communications and Brand Reputation at Indigo. Himanshu Kapadia, Head for Corporate Communications at Grasim Industries. Puneet Gupta, General Manager for Corporate Communication at Inox. And Rakhi Lalwani, Vice President for Public Relations and Corporate Communication at IHCL, the Indian Hotels Company Limited. And moderating the panel today is Mukesh Kharbanda, Founder and Managing Director at Fusion PR. Over to you, Mukesh, now to set the context for this discussion and take it ahead.
Thank you, Anubhuti, and welcome everyone on the third edition of Regional Prime Time. It's a three-part series, like Anubhuti mentioned, where we try and decode what regional PR, what the future holds for regional PR in India. And today I feel like a kid in a candy store with such a power panel on the discussion. And there is so much to discuss about. So without taking any more screen time, I will dwell into the discussion straight away. And thank you to the panelists for joining in. Thank you, Lekha, Rakhi, Puneet, and Himanshu for taking out time and having this discussion with us. Luckily, unluckily, the panel today is from the brands which are highly impacted with COVID. So I will get straight to the discussion. How do you think the COVID impact will pan out in 2020 and beyond 2020 for your brands and for the industry on the whole? Could we please start with Rakhi here?
Sure. Thank you, Reputation Today, Amit, Mukesh, for having me on the panel. Well, from where things stand today, one is looking at a recovery of anything between 12 to 18 months. But this is really dependent on the vaccine, as we all know. And from where things are right now, there is, we don't know, what is the capacity that it will be built to, whether it'll come this year, whether it'll come early next year. So there's a lot of ifs and buts. So yeah, the sector has been hit hard. It came to a virtual grinding halt in March when lockdown was announced. It is better today. We have 80% of our portfolio of hotels which is actually open. We were in a situation where some of our hotels, which has never happened in the history of our company, they were closed because of state regulations. Today they're open. There have been certain welcome announcements and moves made by the government, which is allowing us to operate. So that's helping for sure. But one is really waiting for everything to open up. And of course, the biggest, sort of reason is really the fear, the traveler confidence around safety, around, sort of knowing that, if they travel, they'll be fine. So we need to work on allaying those fears, and we are working hard on that. The entire industry, and of course, Indian Hotels, has implemented very stringent measures around hygiene and safety to reassure travelers that, we're doing our best. We've always done our best, and we've only heightened this in the current circumstances. So currently, it's not all gloom and doom. To give you a summation, it's a little better than what it was in March because things are opening up. There is activity. People are a little tired of sort of staying at home. So they are taking, these short breaks. They're checking into hotels and doing staycations. In some cities, restaurants are open. So there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We're waiting to see more light.
Great, Rakhi. A great way to initiate the conversation. But before I move to Puneet and take his views on how the cinemas are taking this, how has been the impact on the food business? Do you see the restaurants gaining momentum now? I mean, we understand the hotels might still take some time.
That's a good question. So the thing is that a lot of the restaurants weren't allowed to operate. Like in Maharashtra, for instance, we're still not allowed to open our restaurants. Delhi is allowed the restaurants, so that's helping, of course, in a limited capacity because of physical distancing. But what has really helped is online delivery, the delivery of food from our various signature restaurants. And that's what actually prompted us to create a new sort of brand and a business vertical called Cumin, which has been launched in 9 cities, including Pune, Jaipur, and Lucknow. And that's doing extremely well because people are sitting at home, but they're tired of either cooking themselves or eating ghar ka khana. So they're ordering from us, and that has helped immensely. So, and people are finding ways and means of doing virtual celebrations and virtual parties. Milestone parties like birthday parties are happening virtually, but people are ordering in and even sending food to their friends and family. So that's a new trend. And yes, I mean, restaurants will definitely do well. Delhi, I'm told, on day one of the announcement, they announced at 12 noon, and that by like 1 p.m., the bookings were like 100%, 150%. People had to be turned down. So yeah, it's positive wherever, it's possible. But of course, we do have miles to go.
Great, but that's
We
a
can
good
smile.
note to start the conversation on. Puneet, over to you. How do you think the cinema business is taking the COVID impact with the recent unlock guidelines also not allowing the cinema houses to open? How do you see 2020, especially the festive season, because we are talking of the spirit of celebration today?
Right. So first of all, thank you for having me on this panel. Thanks, Amit, Anubhuti, and Mukesh. So as Rakhi mentioned, it's a history being created, although of a different sorts. And for us, it's been more than 150 days of absolutely zero revenues. We were shut from mid of March, and we are in September. So, the impact has been unprecedented. There's no doubt about it. And we hope that, we restart before we cross the 200-day milestone. And of course, there are a lot of challenges that the industry is facing in terms of customer apprehension, in terms of lack of fresh content, which we are seeing. We are seeing a drift of new movies choosing the digital distribution option. And of course, customer apprehension will be something that we will be targeting specifically. But yes, we are confident that because businesses like travel, entertainment, F&B, they are part of our country's culture, and a 5 or 6 months break cannot challenge the culture. It cannot alter the cultural fabric of the country. So that is something which gives us a lot of hope. And of course, this culture will be ignited with the festive season kicking in. So we hope, if we start operations by October, we'll still have the festive months of November and December to spring back into action, to win back the win over the apprehensions, and of course, get back to normal by Q4. The good thing is a lot of stakeholders are standing with us. Our teams are standing together, and we are sure that by Q4 we should see the similar buzz, and of course the festive season is going to play a very huge role in that.
Puneet, there must be a lot of films that are lined up which are ready to be released. So do you see a huge lineup as soon as cinema houses open?
No, so unfortunately, see, globally there's been a windowing system for movie releases, and it starts with the theatrical screening of a movie, followed by digital, and then onto satellite. Because a lot of producers have not been able to hold on to their investment, they are choosing the direct to digital option. Like you would have seen a lot of releases happening on a lot of OTT platforms. So I won't say there'll be a bunching up of movies, but there are enough movies in our hand. Imagine movies like 83, a sports-based movie. Sports content has always done well in the country. Similarly, we have Akshay Kumar's movie, which is again lined up. So we have enough content for us to leverage the festive spirit, and we know that it's a matter of a couple of blockbusters, and we'll be back on track.
Great. Thanks for the initial remarks, Puneet.
Yeah.
I move to Likha here. Likha, how's it with the airlines business? I heard, and we were discussing when you had not logged in, that you've recently launched another route. It is from Indore, I guess.
Yes, Mukesh, so that's correct. Very recently, we've opened that route as well. But just to kind of take a little step back and see how we started with this whole scenario and where we are today. So, aviation is definitely one of the worst hit sectors as far as the impact of this pandemic goes. We were out of operations for more than almost 2 months. And when we started post-lockdown on 25th of May, we were bound with a certain set of guidelines and a percentage number of flights that would take off. And we only opened domestic. A lot of international routes are still closed. And as of the new announcement of Unlock 4, till 30th September, they're still not opening out, except for the air bubbles and all the charter flights that are taking off. Having said that, I think, so business has taken a massive hit, definitely, operationally in every way. But it has also given us a sense of some of the other things that, other lines of businesses that have erupted. So as they say, every cloud has some sort of silver lining to it. Our cargo business has really done wonders. The amount of cargo we've flown in this time is probably more than we would have flown in a year. We have started a new line of business, which is charters. Again, as I say, necessity is the mother of invention. I think that's where charters started for us. When people demanded, we began, we thought of this, and it's taken off really, really well for us, not just national, but international charters also. And it's also given us an opportunity to now, service the nation by bringing back our, people homebound from different locations, just repatriating them, standing up with the government, and really doing our duty at this time. So that's where, while it has been a very, very tough time as a business, it's also given us these little leeways to look at new lines of businesses. So when we come out of this scenario, and slowly we are, when we started, we were barely flying 25% of our flights. Today we're sitting at about 35%, hoping to get to about 70% by January next year. And, so slowly we hope the business will come back stronger than before. So yes, it's not the best of scenarios, but we're trying to make the most of it. I think that's how I'd like to put it.
That's some great work, Likha, that Indigo is putting in. And in the last panel discussion, we were having this chat wherein everybody agreed that the communication or the work that brands are putting in right now will have a huge impact on the reputation and the way your consumers perceive a particular brand. So kudos on that front. Himanshu, to you, I'm coming to you in the end on purpose because you handle a portfolio which is very diverse. So if I could say from cement to retail to everything, how do you see, and you can give us a holistic view on how the COVID impact has been. So if you could talk from the Grasim's standpoint, what exactly has been the impact?
Yeah, so, I just want to, coming back to your question about festivals and celebrations and how it's impacted all of us, I just want to, being a Gujarati, as I say, celebration is nothing but circulation of money. And festivals is creating that demand. What is missing, and, the piece which is missing in the whole jigsaw puzzle with COVID and whatever, and there would be ups and downs, it's the demand. Today what is missing is the demand cycle, and festivals will trigger that demand cycle happening. It could be cement, textiles, chemicals, aviation, films, hotel, food. Festivals and celebrations act as trigger, and what is required today is that trigger. So COVID we've seen in the rural economy, somewhere India being, so vast, every state has its own dynamics. The rural has done well. It staggered into the lockdown. It didn't have that lockdown. There's an agricultural economy, and certain businesses, have done well Q1 of this year compared to Q1 of last year. You can talk about fertilizers business. You can talk about the pharma business. You can talk about various levels of businesses. So where I'm seeing is, there's a story which I recall, which there was this town which didn't have business and didn't have any work going on, and finally, one person, a car dealer, got a Rolls Royce into it, and we've heard this story in our management lessons. And what had happened is some person inquired about that car. There was no sell, but what it triggered was a supply and a demand cycle. What we need, and all four of us need now, is that cycle happening. And that is where the movement will happen. So celebrations, yes, we use this, last 4 months as a pit stop and then go forward. So yes, there's a demand which is increasing, but we need that, the push and the pull happening at the same time.
So Himanshu, all four of you have given a very positive feedback in that sense, a positive view of it. But do you think, and it's a counter question, with our GDP going into negative for the first time, do you think people will be able to be in a festive mode or a festive zone?
To me, you're asking me that question?
That question to you.
So, I always believe that, human beings, we are very adaptable. So, we've pivoted to digital, we're doing this conference over Zoom. 4 months back, we didn't do that. MS Teams. So we will find our way. We are like water. We will find our way. So even in terms of, there has been, there is a demand. I always feel there's a demand supply gap. So people, and it's real. Today, all of us sitting in this call, of people who are looking, there have been a job loss, there is salary cuts, there is a spending power which has come down. It's real. We're not going to take that away. But at the end of the day, how are we going to, use it to our advantage? So in terms of people who have migrated to rural places, there's a cost structure and they're, doing well with offline work, and that is creating a demand over there. So there are various, puzzles within a puzzle. So there is a demand which is required, and and we're all working towards that.
Sure. Thanks, Himanshu. Rakhi, I would want to take your inputs here with, as I said, the GDP taking a doldrums. When we talk of celebrations or the spirit of celebrations, be it marriages or get-togethers or small parties, it has been a very ingrained part of celebration in India. At Taj Hotels, how do you see that panning out now with people? There are restrictions on the number of people that can gather at a particular instance. How do you see things panning out for Taj as well as for Ginger and other hotel chains that you have?
So, as Himanshu put it very well, I think human beings have a social and a psychological need to meet, to travel, to go out, and to generally sort of, socialize. So that's going to start now that the restrictions have been sort of eased out a little bit, albeit in smaller formats, but it's going to start. People are fed up of staying at home for so many months. They're dying to get out. So what we're seeing is this adaptability and trends like people are now taking short driving vacations. They're just taking their car and driving to a Nasik or driving to a Coorg from Bangalore, or going to Goa or going to Rishikesh, from Chandigarh, etc. So that's happening, and that's a new trend. Driving holidays is really something that we've noticed in the pandemic. You asked about marriages. Now, marriages are very dependent on auspicious dates. So marriages have to happen. So actually the truth is, and even I was quite surprised to hear about it, is that we've got the same number of queries that we did get for weddings last year as we have for this year. So that hasn't slowed down. In fact, it's only increased because we were closed for 2 months. It's not factoring in those 2 months. because people who would normally go to a Phuket or a Bali or a Florence to get married, have these international weddings, are now getting married in India. So that is now converting to an opportunity for India. But of course, it's in a smaller format of 50 packs and 100 packs now that, they've increased it. But they're doing it in style. They're going to our palaces, where they can take the entire palace, for instance. It's small palaces. We have, 50, 60 rooms, and they can take the entire palace. So it becomes even more exotic, even more regal. So that's a new trend that's happening. So like he said, like Himanshu said, there are ways and means of adapting, and that's what we're doing. Of course, there's going to be, it's going to impact the numbers at the end of the day. But I think people will start socializing and doing what they can. Digital has helped. Ordering in has helped. Doing these Zoom parties, etc., has also helped. So these are some of the trends that we are noticing.
Sure. Raki, one is the luxury segment, but do you think because there is so much emphasis right now on the precautions we are taking? So if I have to go out and eat, or if I have to take a small vacation, I would trust a brand like Taj more rather than trusting a normal 3-star, 4-star hotel. I might
Correct.
end up spending more. Do you think that is also a blessing in disguise for luxury chains?
Absolutely true. Today, travelers will definitely trust a brand like Taj and Tata's, who they know will, do the best they can, have always done the best they can to keep them safe, as opposed to, a non-branded hotel or sort of travel company. So I think that will play a crucial role and is a blessing in disguise. It also helps that this year, in the year of the pandemic, Taj was rated as India's strongest brand by Brand Finance, which is an international firm, a UK-based firm. And this was amongst all sectors. It wasn't just in hospitality. So that helps, these things are very reassuring and really couldn't have come at a better time than it did in this year to convey that, please go out there, travel and trust us, and trust brands like Indigo and Vistara. I can't stop myself from saying that. And Taj and, all of us, Inox, hopefully soon. And, safely be responsible, but, please go out and, help the economy.
No, that's a great message. Please go out and trust the brands that you have been trusting all these years. Likha, this brings me to you, taking you from what Raki said. Because there is an international travel ban and people would be a little pleasant when it opens up also. Do you see a lot of business for Indigo Airlines coming from the domestic market? And do you see this trend panning out even in the next year, 2021?
So Mukesh, again, just to share, when the lockdown kind of lifted, at that time we did see a pent-up demand. Of course, a lot of people who were caught up in various locations wanted to go back to their home places, to their parents, to their spouses, etc. So we had a very decent load factor in that sense when the lockdown opened, and then it began for a couple of weeks in between. The business flattened out, and we were kind of worried. Thinking that once the bubble bursts, the demand bubble bursts, where are we going to go? But, in the last few weeks, what we've noticed is our load factors have not really gone down. In fact, they're increasing. Our overall share of market has also gone up in these times. So just like Raki said, people trust the brands that they do. We ourselves have moved almost 52 notches in a Campaign India brand brand meter, where we were sitting at almost an 80 plus position last year. Today we are at a 30 plus position. So, and through our communication, through all the things that we are doing, we are clearly talking about a lean, clean flying machine. We're taking all the safety measures that would ensure that the travelers are traveling in a safety bubble, as they say, from their destination to wherever they want to go. Also, a lot of these IATA reports and CAPA reports have talked about the fact that given the times, air travel is probably the safest form of travel that a customer could undertake without fear of getting caught up in the pandemic scenario. So with these kind of encouraging factors, I do think that our business should take off in the right direction, despite with the gloomy scenario that we have in the economy. And also, as we open up more sectors, as we kind of look at, the various other sectors that we open up besides international, domestically, as we open up more points and more destinations, I do see things would get better moving on.
Sure. Thanks, Lekha. For me personally, festivities and the spirit of festivals has always been the shopping splurge. How do you see customers taking on the shopping vector? Do you see any change? I mean, people shifting, of course, to the online platforms, but still, is the demand taken back, or is it still the same vis-a-vis last year?
Mukesh, I would say it's probably the same in my view, especially with digital and online channels becoming available at the tip of your fingers. People have not stopped demanding things, or people have not really stopped shopping. If I was to take my own example, it's just that earlier I was stepping out to buy the groceries. Today I'm having them delivered at home. And I see that with a lot of my, people around me and who are in the same situation. Once the lockdown lifted, I think from every single item that we wanted to kind of step out for, we're having it delivered home, especially and you've got some of these great delivery platforms, from who are providing your daily needs. So would I say, has the shopping gone down? And especially with the festivities now coming up and with your Diwalis and, etc. around the corner, people will have their demands. People will want to dress up, taking the fact that it's a pandemic fatigue. A lot of people are wanting to really kind of get out of it by, doing these things, by feeling that things are normal. Of course, with the rider that we do it in a safe way, have our safety precautions and everything taken up. But I think very much so that the demand for things or the demand for shopping, I don't think it's really going to go down.
Sure. Himanshu, I would ask the same question to you. At Grasim, how do you see the shopping trends panning out? So you are on mute.
Yeah. So, Mukesh, I agree with what Lekha and even Rakhi said earlier. And just to reiterate my fact to Rakhi that, I really trust your brand a lot. My son, I got him evacuated, Yash, from UK. And for 14 days, I quarantined him at Taj Palace. So, trust will be the most important factor in decisions going forward. And that is the trust which will happen even in shopping. So I'll give you an example. What is happening is people are today, it's a trend, or maybe it's just my observation, are more comfortable going into a single format store rather than going to a mall where they would feel crowded by people, and they would also feel, a bit unsure about the safety standards. So they would be more comfortable coming to an Aditya Birla Group single format store of a Linen Club or an Allen Solly, or where they are sure that the health, the hygiene, and every precaution will be taken care of. So to be just to tell you a fact that what I've heard is in the last 2 months there have been 6 linen store clubs which have opened up in the rural areas. So what is happening is the trend is more towards safety, hygiene, and a customer is willing to spend if he is comfortable in a particular ambience. So usually he would, see something on the home format and then he would come out and shop. But for shopping, to get him to, come out, he needs to be safe and secure. So that is how the shopping would move ahead in the times. Also in terms of what we are seeing in terms of festivals and all that, as I was talking about, coming back to our topic about rural and celebrations, there are a lot of people who have moved from metros to the rural area. So there will be a spurge of demand which will happen for housing, because people will need more houses, people will need their own cars, they will need their own, kind of a wardrobe and various things. Although apparels is still a discretionary spend, but there is, maybe there might not be so many weddings to attend, but there'll be a casual wear. So there's a demand which is going on for casual wear. We've launched antimicrobial fibers. So there is a demand for those kind of fibers also in terms of the masks. So there is there is a demand shift which is happening, but there will be a kind of a customer who will want something, and we will be there to serve him. That is what we want to do.
Sure. And Himanshu, since we are talking about regional India and India beyond metros, how have you been communicating your festive messaging in the past 5 years, and how do you see it changing in 2020 and now onward?
So, across the board, there have been, you use the traditional media and you use, the word of mouth and everything. But what has changed now is the content part of it. What has changed now and going forward is pivoting to digital in a very strong way. So in terms of story weaving, even in terms of, making the customer educative. So even what is right for him. So earlier, if there was just, what we say, an add-on value of, a free gift along with certain product, it's more to do with health, hygiene, safety, delivery, and how the product is going to make a difference in your life and make you more healthy or safer or XYZ. Even going forward in terms of communication, what I've seen is there's a lot of, WhatsApp and digital thing. I'll give you a brilliant, it's one of my favorites. And although, people see is the recent example of the Ganesh Chaturthi. I don't know, it's a Maharashtrian festival, and there is it's viral. Many people would have seen it, but how a sweet manufacturer, Chitre Bandhu, and it's a young youth and an old man having a conversation which is revolving around COVID, and then weaving the message of Ganpati and the purpose, and then finally coming to the product. Those are the kind of storytelling messages which is run, and that is how it's moving. We also giving stories around themes, but I just gave that example of a brand. So if people have not seen it, just Google it. Amazing kind of communications.
We will. Thank you for these inputs, Himanshu. Rakhi, over to you. How has the messaging changed for you? Though Himanshu mentioned a lot about storytelling, but do you see even the mediums changing? Earlier, it was more about traditional. Now we are moving towards digital and influencers. So being a hotel chain, a hotel group, how do you see the messaging and the communicators changing for you?
So for us, to be honest, our corporate communication strategy, it doesn't revolve around festivals as much as the local, regional, at the hotel level communication. They focus a lot on promoting festivals, whether it's Dasara or Diwali or Raksha Bandhan or Independence Day. There's a lot of activity that hotels do, and they do promote these festivals, through various platforms. I want to touch upon regional media, because we've always known the importance of regional media. And today it's become even more relevant. Considering demand is growing in tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's even more important to reach out far and wide to these cities, as well as to, the section of people who speak those languages. So therefore, that has increased. Before, regional media would be like a top up to your mainstream media communication plan. Right as of now, I think even for us at the corporate level, it goes hand in hand. So it's extremely important. As far as shifting to digital, I would agree with Himanshu. It's definitely far more skewed towards online, because print really has, is now limited in its circulation and readership, from what I understand. I haven't seen the latest figures, but it's evident. So it's shifting towards online. It is shifting towards influencer marketing. It is shifting toward media influencers actually sort of putting out content on social media. So therefore, that approach has been factored in to all our communication strategies. So festive communication as such is at the regional level, at the hotel level, which continues. And they use a lot of regional media within their cities, within their states. Like I said, regional media sometimes is really the heart of the community. So for instance, Gujaratis and Bengalis for us are probably the number 1 and number 2 travelers in the country. So it's important to reach out to these markets. So therefore, one is present in Gujarat Samachar, one is present in the local publications in Calcutta, or in Rajasthan, where we want to promote certain things like we have been doing off late. We've launched something called 4D, which is a driving holiday offer. So we launched it in Rajasthan Patrika, and so awareness was built to the right target audience. So we've been factoring this into our strategies for a while, and like I said, we also have brands like Ginger who are present in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and it's even more important for us to be present in these publications. And yes, it's moving towards online, digital, and definitely social media is playing a huge role in communication today.
Thanks, Rakhi. I move to you, Puneet. Since we are talking about digitalization in a way, do you see influencer playing a lot of role in communicating your messaging to tier 2 and tier 3 towns, especially because it has got to do with movies for you?
So I think the last 4-5 months, or I would say the last 12 months, have seen a very prominent trend of regional influencers coming up. And I myself work with a lot of regional influencers because you want to communicate in the language of the audience, the best language best understood by the audience. So regional influencers will play a massive role. What brands can also do is develop influencers, people who are consumers or who are related to your brand in a way, whom you see a potential, with a decent presence, decent digital presence. I've seen, I worked with Airtel in my previous stint, and I've worked with a lot of technology bloggers, and today they have a decent recognition in the digital space. So it's not that there's a lack of influencers in the non-metro and emerging markets. There are people who are willing to express, who are aspirational, who want to be heard, and there's a definite scope for regional influence to increase. Coming to the fact that trust, we were talking about trust. I think regional influencers can play a massive role in building that trustworthy communication, because people would believe them as well, along with whatever they're believing in your brand. You add that additional belief, that additional acceptance to your communication. So I think it's extremely critical, and going down the line, I think next 12 months again, this is going to be very important.
Sure. Puneet, there is a question that I can spot, and I'll ask you since we are talking. So there is somebody named Saurav Kanungo. He says that all the speakers are very positive about the scenario, about shopping, entertainment, but a lot of people have lost their jobs and have gotten pay cuts. So don't you see that pressure coming up on entertainment, shopping, travel, and hospitality industry as well?
So I think, Saurabh, great question. See, one is, everybody is suffering. There's no doubt. The suffering has been unanimous. Some could sustain, some could not. But I think we should stop worrying about the future. The GDP, as you said, Mukesh, is going to see a V-shaped recovery for sure. There's no doubt about it, because we Indians are pretty resilient and we don't compromise on our celebrations and our experiences. So there is definitely a pressure, and there have been job losses. But I'm sure the moment things get back and the speed with which things will get back to normal, there'll be ample opportunities. In fact, I'll tell you, as Lekha also mentioned, that we are innovating. Same as we are as well innovating, in a lot of new products that we are coming up with. We are looking at private screenings. So you never know. I might develop a private screening team, which targets RWAs and social communities and arrange private screenings. We are looking at usage of cinema for trainings, seminars, and workshops. So we might as well have a team selling that. So there are ample innovations which are coming up, which will lead to more and more job opportunities.
Sure. Thanks, Puneet. Lekha, to you, how do you see the trends in regional media, specifically when communicating your message around festivities and celebrations? The mediums or the way you communicate, do you see any changes there?
So Mukesh, much like what Rakhi also said, at a corporate communication level, we don't really communicate too much around the festivals per se. Or there isn't really a direct communication to customers regarding that, except we will of course wish them through our digital handles via Twitter or Facebook, etc. But at the regional level, and especially at the airports, is where we would, normally have the teams celebrating it. So for example, if there is Onam down south, then you would have the Bangalore airport, etc., kind of dressed up, and our teams wishing the customers, etc. Having said that, while we don't necessarily see a change in our communication at the corporate level, the medium of communication has definitely changed from where we would be looking a lot at outdoors, print. We've really moved heavily into the digital channels. And again, as Rakhi pointed out, it is with the media, with this particular medium really taking on, customers using this medium, not just for advertising, but for every other thing. Even in fact, just moving, sort of deviating a little from the question, even in fact, for a customer to now get into the airport and just check in and just do a security check, everything has become so contactless. So digital medium has taken off in a big way. And with that comes the innovative use around this. We are also now looking at doing a lot of influencer marketing, advertising, communication, engaging with bloggers. We used to do that, but I think it's going to go up in a many-fold way. It already has, and it's also about today Twitter is one, and your news travels in like nanoseconds. A newspaper will come to you the next day. Every other medium will take probably a couple of minutes, but with Twitter, it's everything is like nanoseconds. So for us, Twitter has become our literally like a monitoring mouthpiece for everything that we say, do, or hear. So these are the channels we are kind of really kind of spreading our communication through in a lot of ways.
Sure, Lekha, in context with what you just said, there is a question, and I'll pose it to you. It
Sure.
says, what is the divide of digital versus traditional or print media that you have in your communication strategy? If you could give us a percentage.
If I was to talk right now, only the current times, and let's say the last 6 months, it would probably be, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just saying it from whatever I see, it would be 75, 80 to 20, 25, literally that high.
Great. Another question that I can spot, and before I move on to the next section, I would pose it to Himanshu, if you could please answer this. So it's a very complex two questions, and I'll try and club both of them together for you. It says, do you think it is the right time to stimulate a company's reputation in smaller markets? Specifically, he has mentioned markets like northeastern parts, which are generally ignored. And also, do you think as a country or as brands, are we innovating enough? Himanshu, you are on mute.
So sorry, on the first question, yes, I was just seeing some reports. I think so it was McKinsey's or one of the reports, which actually stated that northeastern markets are doing far better because really COVID had not touched them, and in terms of the overall kind of scenario, even in terms of government spending. See, a lot of we are forgetting, okay, there is a job loss which is real, there is a salary cut which is real, but also understand there is a flip which the government is giving for spending. There is spend which is happening in the defense sector, infrastructure will happen. There is already something happening in the northeast for infrastructure and roads and railways, everything kind of there will be a demand, and there is a need to create brand awareness. I was just reading another report which stated that during the lockdown, in the rural markets or even in certain sectors, the FMCG products have done far greater business overall. So, yes, there is a situation at present, but we cannot, hold on and keep on, being sad about the whole thing. Life goes on. It's not only Northeast, even, Onam was a big flip in the southern sector. Yeah. The sales have really skyrocketed for a lot of people, even in the people are looking at that revenue. We are finally social beings, right? So we need that trigger. Festivals will be that trigger. Rural markets, we are all sitting in metros in Mumbai and all those kind of things. And in the rural areas, there is a kind of a gap which is there, but it is much better than what we are sitting in metros. And what is happening is the rural economy is doing better than us sitting in the metros. So there is a spending power. People are moving into brands. People are moving into trust. So a lot of people want to travel. And as Rakhi was rightly saying, people are looking at marriages and certain things in doing it in a better style, because now you're with a lesser amount of people and lesser amount of expenses. So the dynamics have changed, but it doesn't mean that people have started living. So I'm just saying it could be Northeast, it could be Madhya Pradesh, where we are there, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat. We are in 9 states. Our manufacturing plants are there. There is a pain, but that doesn't mean that you don't start you stop your life and you don't move ahead. That's my view.
Thank you.
So you have to brand, and it's an exercise. And always one thing we all management students have been taught, that when the going is bad, don't spend advertising costs. Don't people, first thing they'll do is they'll spend advertising costs. They will do everything. I've done actually there is an advertising spend, but then you change your spends towards certain content-driven communications, direct communications, focused communications, but don't put a full stop. And I agree with that.
Sure. Thanks, Himanshu. And I can see a lot of questions coming in, but I will move on to the next section because we are running short on time. It's a little controversial. Himanshu, I'll start with you.
Okay.
In a country like India, we say that festivals bind us together, all the religions and different entities, but in a way, it also creates an ideological and political divide. So while communicating your festive messages, are you cognizant of these things, or is it all inclusive for Grasim and for all the other companies that you have worked in the past for?
No, so it's inclusive. See, at the end of the day, we should all understand our roles as communicators. Let us be this thing. Customer for us is king. Okay, money, rokra, as we say, is driving my salaries. Okay, so if I do a sale, that drives my salary. So at the end of the day, festival. So I will have on even my social media handles, I'll have a Eid, I'll have a Holi, I'll have a Diwali, I'll have various kind of messages going on. Also in my traditional media, I will have those kind of things. As I was talking earlier, there may be offers which were there earlier, which may not be there today, but the trust factor will have to come very strongly with the celebrations and with the festivals. So let's be very clear in our understanding as communicators. Customer for us is king. And we have to go out and reach him in the way he likes it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Rakhi, what will be your inputs here?
So Tata's and Indian Hotels, which is part of Tata's, has always believed in oneness of the community and has always professed, and the belief is really to be inclusive, but in terms of diversity, whether it's gender, whether it's caste, creed, religion. So therefore, the question of caution or anything doesn't even come in because we've always been inclusive. And that's the approach one has taken for communications. If you had to look at the essence of the messaging that one does during various festivals, be it Eid or be it Diwali or be it Dashara or be it Onam, it's about promoting harmony. It's about the positivity that festivals bring. It's about togetherness. It's about basically getting families and communities together to really celebrate the rich culture, the color, the lovely sort of diversity that this country and incredible India has. So that's the kind of essence of messaging that one goes with. And like I said, the rest is a non-issue for us.
Sure, thanks. Puneet, would you share the same sentiment, or is it any different in the cinema business?
See, I think cinema, is as inclusive as any other business in the country. The best part is, when you are going for a movie, you don't you don't look at what festival it is. It all depends on the content. And of course, Diwali is the biggest day in the Indian film industry, and the biggest movie of the year gets released during the Diwali weekend. So there's a lot of there's a lot of connect with the festival of Diwali. And now with Christmas, as I said earlier, Amir has now started owning Christmas. Salman has started owning Eid. So and the fans are omnipresent. They don't care what festival is it. If I have to go and watch a Salman Khan movie, I'll go regardless of the festival. So that's the beauty of the business. Very importantly, what we also do is it's one, of course, it's very important to be careful while communicating during festivals. You should not go overboard, but at the same time you should be correct in your messaging. But you must join the celebrations. People want to celebrate, and as I said earlier on the panel, that traveling, entertainment, food, they're a part of the business. So how the brand makes the service a part of your celebration is something very important. Like we are also into F&B, and we are very focused on our F&B services. So we have festive menus. We have menus for Durga Puja. We have menus for Christmas. We do Makar Sankranti menus in our live kitchens. So it's upon how the brand takes a step forward in a smart way, in a more relevant way, so that you become a part of the customer celebration. So I think that's very important. More, and of course, being correct is absolutely important.
Sure. Lekha, since you mentioned it is 80% digital for you, do you see the same trends there, or is it the Twitter is in a different zone?
No, absolutely the same trend, Mukesh. I would say it is all about inclusivity. And, be it from the customer who's getting onto my plane to the customer who's sitting internally in my office. So we are a 20,000 plus organization. We have people from all walks of life, all cultures, all religion. And when we are communicating, we're not just communicating externally, but internally to them as well. And as just Puneet said, you become a part of people's celebrations. And our communication looks at it this way, that every person who's part of Indigo and who is on Indigo in that sense is included in the communication that we are sending out in a measured way, of course. But each festival has its significance for a certain section of society, and each section of that society is my customer or my employee or a stakeholder in some way. So that's what we drive, really.
Sure. Thank you, Lekha. Himanshu, a quick question to you, which has come from Anjali Sharma, and then I will move on to the last section because the clock is ticking and we only have six minutes left.
Okay.
She says that when we talk about the consumers, are we talking about the middle class primarily, or is it a collaborative approach towards the lower middle class, high class, and middle class people? I think she means when you are designing your communication strategies, which class do you cater to majorly?
So, I just want to tell her that, what happens is there is a segmented target audience, so it's not that, you're doing a carpet bombing, and usually, in a traditional space, you would do that. But in digital, it's more specific and more related. Now, even in the rural markets, it's more segmented. So maybe, I'm just giving an example, if I'm catering to a particular brand, which is a high-end brand, I would, reach out to a different target audience than to a mass brand. But again, that brings to me, one more, I was having a discussion. Going forward, this middle class, lower class, upper class is all, as long as customer is king. Today, I will be very surprised. I was saying the highest number of Mercedes was sold in Surat, So imagine what we are talking, So, we are, what are we saying? Which, cities or rural today, a farmer has more disposable income, although not on income tax papers, but as a spending power to buy. So today, he would not come in my records of, so-called brand, segmentations. But in terms of reaching out to him is important. So there will be a particular matrix which will be followed. But yes, every customer is important, and there's a focused way of looking at all three segments. And that's why we have various mediums, and that's why we all communicators are there, or else we'll be out of business, So we need to even.
No, that's great. And I think we've had a great discussion, but I want to still end it on a very, very positive and happy note. Is there a festival which is close to your heart, and why? So one festival, one Indian festival, it can be Eid, Diwali, it can be Rakhi, or any other local festival like an Onam or Bohag Bihu, which is close to your heart, and why do you like it? Likha, shall I start this with you, please?
Sure, Mukesh. So, if you ask me personally, I think it's, for me personally, it's Diwali. It's just a festival, as it is called, a festival of lights, and it brings with it a lot of hope, positivity, and just, the light entering your life in that scenario, it's kind of reminiscent of that for me. But if you just do kind of little elaboration, if I was to take it to my family and you ask my kids, it'll probably be Christmas. They love the whole Santa Claus thing that goes around it. But yes, I would say Diwali for me. Yes.
I think both Diwali and Christmas are around the corner. So fingers crossed. Hopefully
fingers crossed. Absolutely.
Puneet, what would it be for you?
I think for me, it depends on the kind of sweets that we are having. But on a serious note, I think, professionally, Diwali has given us Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Diwali has given us Dil To Pagal Hai. Diwali has given us Om Shanti Om, blockbusters. So, of course, Diwali is an important, festival. Personally, as well, because, the sheer bliss of getting together, spending time with your family members. And now, considering that this Diwali, we wouldn't have more critical Diwalis than the one which is coming up from, even from a professional perspective, from a personal perspective, I think it has to be Diwali for me. But yes, every festival is important. Every consumer is important. So we, as I said, depends on the kind of sweets that you're having. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. A foodie in you speaks finally.
Oh yes, anytime.
Himanshu, what would be your pick? The favorite festival?
Yeah, so I would I'll tell Puneet picture abhi baki hai. So the food and the parties and all will come first. We all need to. So, but yeah, for me, again, coming back to my roots, Gujarati, and the festival of Garba is very close to my heart. And the clothes, and we have these Navratris, and and the whole. I think the rural economy, moves around Navratras. So when the Navratras happened, the whole rural just shines, and I love that shine, Garbas and rotation. So I think so Garba is very close. But coming back to that question about, there is gloom, everybody over here. So let's be very fair. So you don't know what we are wearing downstairs, all of you all. Like we would be in shirts and everybody, but the three guys, they don't know what we are wearing downstairs.
We will not talk about it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm just telling, let's just
not standing up.
Yeah, we're not getting up. But what I'm trying to say is we want to make people get up and move. And that is how we have to make the elephant dance. And when India dances, we'll all have fun. So let us all dance.
That's a great way to put it. And I completely agree with your assessment there that festivities was always about circulation of money. So when you talk of Navratras or we talk of Durga Puja, I think it plays an important role. Rakhi, allow me to end this discussion with your inputs and your favorite festival, please.
Well, besides Rakhi, because it's named after me, my favorites would be Diwali and Christmas together, both. Because I'm a great one for the sheer visual magic that comes with these two festivals, whether it's just, the whole place lights up and, whether it's Christmas, with Christmas trees and lighting and Diwali with all the diyas. I just love that. I'm not such a ritual person, but yes, like Puneet, I love food. So it kind of revolves around what Christmassy menus and Diwali food and all of that, which is always very exciting. So those two would be my favorite festivals. And professionally, of course, Christmas, New Year's is possibly the best for all hotels, I would say, in the industry. Diwali is less because most people stay at home. So resorts do benefit, but there's no business travel. So professionally, it would definitely be Christmas, New Year's when more people are out there taking holidays, and that's peak season.
Yeah. On a personal front, I think Lekha and you chose the similar festivals.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to like each other. One, Diwali, you can go to her place, and Christmas, she can come over.
Sounds good.
That's a great idea.
So
And you all can all join me in dancing.
Any day, Garbha,
We'll make the elephant dance.
Yes.
But Himanshu, for that, we'll really have to dress up.
Yeah.
Ask the ladies, they would love to do it.
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time.
It was a fun chat, and thank you for the valuable inputs you gave us. I now welcome Anubhuti back for the closing remarks. Anubhuti, if you could please take it forward.
Thank you, Mukesh, for doing such a great job of moderating. Thank you.
Yes, Mukesh, that
Thank
was
you,
that was
Mukesh.
absolutely great.
Thanks, Lekha. Thanks, Rakhi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mukesh, for this fabulous discussion. I thank our panelists, Lekha, Himanshu, Puneet, and Rakhi for their time and their insights today. Thank you to all our attendees for taking the time out this evening. In case you wish to revisit this session, a recording will be available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly Reputation Today on YT. We will be back next week with the next edition of the Policy Dialogue with SPAG on Friday, 11th September at 6 p.m. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for registration and speaker updates. See you soon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Akhilesha.
team. Great job.